Racist Karen from the HOA tried to steal a black man's car. 1 punch later, he had my keys. In the heart of suburban Atlanta, where manicured lawns and picket fences paint a picture of the American dream, a storm was brewing. It was a tempest not of nature, but of human prejudice, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of a community that prided itself on progress and civility. The year was 2025, and Malik Jeffries, a 32-year-old software engineer, had just achieved what many considered the pinnacle of success. With his wife Imani by his side, he had purchased a beautiful home in Harvey Hill, one of Atlanta's most prestigious neighborhoods. It was a moment of triumph, the culmination of years of hard work and perseverance. But as Malik and Imani unpacked their belongings, arranging family photos and heirlooms in their new living room, they were unaware that their presence had already set in motion a chain of events that would shake their world to its core. For in this idyllic community, where smiles were exchanged over perfectly trimmed hedges, a darkness lurked beneath the surface. It was a malevolence born of fear, ignorance, and a desperate clinging to outdated notions of privilege and power. At the center of this gathering storm stood Karen Drexler, the president of the Harvey Hill Homeowners Association. To her neighbors, she was a pillar of the community, a widowed mother of 2 who had dedicated her life to maintaining the standards and values of their exclusive enclave. But behind closed doors, Karen harbored beliefs that would soon cast a long shadow over the Jeffries American dream. What transpired in the weeks that followed would not only test Malik and Imani's resolve, but would also expose the deep-seated racial tensions that had long simmered beneath Harvey Hill's polished exterior. It would be a confrontation that would ultimately lead to a single, fateful moment, a moment captured in a viral video that would spark outrage, debate, and a national reckoning. This is the story of how one couple's pursuit of happiness collided head-on with the ugly reality of persistent racism in America. It's a tale of courage in the face of adversity, of standing up against injustice, and of the power of community to either divide or unite us. As we unravel the events that led to that shocking confrontation, we'll examine the insidious nature of modern-day discrimination, the complicity of those who stand by in silence, and the brave individuals who dare to challenge the status quo. Join us as we peel back the layers of this complex and deeply human story. For in understanding the trials of Malik and Imani Jeffries, we may just find a path forward in our ongoing struggle for true equality and justice for all. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comment section, and don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscribe button for more of these gripping tales of human resilience and the fight for equality. Malik Jeffries, a 32-year-old software engineer, stands as a testament to perseverance and ambition. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Atlanta, he became the first in his family to attend college. Graduating with honors from Georgia Tech, Malik's journey from humble beginnings to success is marked by his hard-working nature and unwavering optimism. He takes immense pride in his achievements, viewing them not just as personal victories, but as stepping stones to uplift his entire family. In early 2025, Malik and his wife Imani, a pediatrician, make the decision to move to Harvey Hill, an affluent suburban community on the outskirts of Atlanta. Their motivation is clear: to provide a better life for their young daughter and the child Imani is expecting. They envision a future filled with excellent schools, safe streets, and opportunities that were once out of reach for their own families. Harvey Hill, named after Confederate General Daniel Harvey Hill, presents a stark contrast to Malik's upbringing. The neighborhood, with its manicured lawns and stately homes, exudes an air of privilege and exclusivity. Founded in the 1950s, it has long been a bastion of white affluence, with a history of subtle but persistent racial tensions simmering beneath its polished exterior. As Malik and Imani settle into their new home, they quickly encounter the neighborhood's power structure, embodied by Karen Drexler, the president of the Harvey Hill Homeowners Association. Karen, a widowed mother of 2, presents herself as the guardian of the community's standards and values. Her immaculate home, adorned with carefully curated decor, belies a darker interior filled with neo-Confederate memorabilia, a secret shrine to a bygone era she refuses to relinquish. Karen's brother, Michael Wind, serves as a local police officer. His position of authority within the community adds a layer of intimidation to Karen's influence. Unknown to most residents, Michael is part of a clandestine fraternal order within the police force known as the Brotherhood. This group, reminiscent of the infamous Red Dog Unit that once terrorized Atlanta's black communities, operates in the shadows to maintain what they see as the natural order of things. Amidst this potentially hostile environment, Malik and Imani find an unexpected ally in Mrs. Johnson, an elderly black woman who has lived in Harvey Hill for decades. Mrs. Johnson has weathered years of subtle discrimination, watching as the neighborhood slowly changed yet somehow remained the same in its underlying attitudes. Her presence serves as a living testament to the community's complex history, and she quickly becomes a source of wisdom and support for the Jeffries family. As Malik and Imani begin to navigate their new surroundings, their very presence in Harvey Hill sends ripples through the community. Their success challenges long-held stereotypes, and their determination to be active, engaged neighbors threatens to upset the delicate balance of power that Karen and her allies have maintained for years. The stage is set for a collision between the old guard and the new, between progress and entrenched prejudice. How will Malik and Imani's presence in Harvey Hill challenge the status quo? Will their arrival spark a long-overdue reckoning with the community's troubled past, or will it ignite a powder keg of resentment and resistance? As the Jeffries family unpacks their belongings and begins to make Harvey Hill their home, little do they know that their pursuit of the American dream is about to become a battleground for the soul of a community in transition. As tensions in Harvey Hill escalate, Karen Drexler's behavior towards Malik and Imani Jeffries takes a sinister turn. What began as subtle microaggressions soon morphs into blatant displays of racism, pushing the couple to their breaking point. Karen's harassment intensifies, moving from snide comments to overt acts of discrimination. She begins by filing frivolous complaints with the HOA about the Jeffries' property maintenance, despite their impeccable lawn care. Her actions escalate when she calls the police on a group of black teenagers having a peaceful gathering at the community park, falsely accusing them of suspicious behavior. The situation reaches a boiling point when Karen confronts Malik in the driveway of his own home. In a shocking display of entitlement, she attempts to forcibly take his car keys, claiming that such an expensive vehicle couldn't possibly belong to a resident of Harvey Hill. This brazen act of racial profiling becomes the catalyst for a confrontation that will change the community forever. Faced with this blatant act of discrimination, Malik stands his ground. He demands Karen return his keys, his voice firm but controlled. As Karen becomes increasingly agitated, she lunges at Malik, attempting to physically restrain him. In a split-second decision, Malik defends himself, striking Karen with a single, forceful punch that sends her reeling backward. The immediate aftermath is chaos. Neighbors, drawn by the commotion, emerge from their homes to witness the scene. Some rush to Karen's aid, while others stand frozen in shock. Malik, still processing what has transpired, retrieves his keys from where they fell during the scuffle. Within minutes, police sirens pierce the air. Officer Michael Wind, Karen's brother, arrives on the scene, his face a mask of barely contained fury. Despite Malik's attempts to explain the situation, Michael immediately treats him as the aggressor, forcing him to the ground and handcuffing him roughly. As Malik is placed in the back of a police cruiser, the community of Harvey Hill begins to fracture along racial lines. Some neighbors, who have witnessed Karen's escalating behavior over the weeks, vocally defend Malik. Others, swayed by long-held prejudices, side with Karen, viewing Malik's actions as confirmation of their worst fears about the neighborhood's changing demographics. The incident becomes a flashpoint, exposing the deep-seated racial tensions that have long simmered beneath Harvey Hill's placid surface. As news spreads, residents are forced to confront their own biases and the systemic racism embedded in their community's institutions. Will Malik's act of self-defense be seen as justified, or will it be used against him? As the community grapples with this question, the true character of Harvey Hill and its residents will be put to the test. The coming days will determine whether this incident becomes a catalyst for meaningful change or a justification for further division and discrimination. In the days following the confrontation between Malik Jeffries and Karen Drexler, Harvey Hill became the epicenter of a national debate on racial profiling and systemic racism. Malik found himself facing potential assault charges, despite acting in self-defense. The legal battle that ensued would test the limits of justice in a system often biased against people of color. As news of the incident spread, Harvey Hill witnessed an unprecedented wave of activism. Protesters from both sides of the issue flooded the streets, their chants echoing through the once quiet suburban lanes. Supporters of Malik demanded justice and an end to racial profiling, while Karen's defenders claimed she was simply protecting the neighborhood. The viral video of the confrontation ignited a media firestorm. National news outlets descended upon Harvey Hill, their cameras capturing the tension that had long simmered beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic community. Social media platforms buzzed with hashtags and heated debates, bringing the issues of racial discrimination in housing and law enforcement to the forefront of public consciousness. The incident forced a long-overdue examination of systemic racism within Harvey Hill and similar communities across America. It became clear that the problem extended far beyond a single confrontation, revealing deep-rooted issues in law enforcement practices and housing policies. The role of bystanders came under scrutiny as well. Many residents of Harvey Hill were forced to confront their own complicity in perpetuating racial injustice through their silence or inaction. This realization sparked uncomfortable but necessary conversations about privilege and responsibility. Malik's experience highlighted the critical importance of documentation and legal representation in fighting discrimination. As the case unfolded, it became evident that without video evidence and proper legal counsel, the outcome could have been drastically different for Malik and his family. After months of legal battles and community unrest, Malik's case reached its resolution. The charges against him were ultimately dropped, with the court recognizing his actions as justified self-defense. This outcome, while a personal victory for Malik, was just the beginning of broader changes in Harvey Hill. The incident catalyzed significant reforms in the community's HOA policies and local police practices. The Harvey Hill Homeowners Association underwent a complete overhaul, with new leadership committed to promoting diversity and inclusion. The local police department implemented mandatory bias training and established a civilian oversight committee to address concerns of racial profiling. Faced with the decision to stay in Harvey Hill or move elsewhere, the Jeffries family chose to remain, seeing an opportunity to be at the forefront of positive change in their community. Their presence served as a constant reminder of the progress made and the work still to be done. As the dust settled on this tumultuous chapter in Harvey Hill's history, one question lingered: how can this incident serve as a catalyst for lasting change in communities across America? The answer lies in the power of awareness, action, and accountability. The Harvey Hill incident demonstrated that when systemic racism is exposed and confronted head-on, real change is possible. It showed that communities must actively work to dismantle discriminatory practices and foster environments of true equality and inclusion. Moving forward, other communities can learn from Harvey Hill's experience by 1. Implementing transparent and equitable housing policies. 2. Establishing diverse leadership in community organizations. 3. Creating open dialogues about race and privilege. 4. Holding law enforcement accountable through civilian oversight. 5. Providing resources and support for marginalized community members. By taking these steps and remaining vigilant against the insidious nature of systemic racism, communities across America can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for all their residents. As we conclude our journey through the events that unfolded in Harvey Hill, it's crucial to recognize that this story is not unique to one community or one family. The experiences of Malik and Imani Jeffries serve as a mirror, reflecting the ongoing struggle for equality and justice that persists across our nation. The path to change begins with self-reflection and personal responsibility. We urge you to examine the racial biases that may exist within your own communities, workplaces, and even within yourselves. Ask the difficult questions. How diverse is your neighborhood, and what factors contribute to this demographic makeup? Are there unspoken rules or expectations that might make people of color feel unwelcome or uncomfortable? When you witness acts of discrimination, no matter how subtle, do you speak up? But awareness alone is not enough. We must take concrete steps to promote equality. 1. Educate yourself and others about the history of systemic racism and its modern manifestations. 2. Support local organizations working towards racial justice and community integration. 3. Advocate for fair housing policies and diverse representation in community leadership. 4. Engage in open, honest conversations about race with friends, family, and neighbors. 5. Use your voice and your vote to support policies and leaders committed to racial equity. As we reflect on the progress made in Harvey Hill and communities like it across America, we must acknowledge that the work is far from over. The road to true racial justice is long and often challenging, but it is a journey we must undertake together. The story of Malik and Imani Jeffries reminds us that change is possible when individuals stand up against injustice, when communities come together to confront uncomfortable truths, and when systems are held accountable for their biases. Let their experience be a catalyst for your own actions. Whether it's attending a local council meeting, joining a community organization, or simply having a heartfelt conversation with a neighbor, every step towards understanding and equality matters. Remember, the America we aspire to be, a nation truly committed to liberty and justice for all, is not an inheritance, but a responsibility. It's a vision we must actively work to create, day by day, choice by choice, action by action. As you leave this documentary, carry with you not just the knowledge of what happened in Harvey Hill, but the determination to ensure that such incidents become relics of the past. The power to shape a more just and equitable future lies in our hands. Let us have the courage to use it wisely and persistently. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May it be just the beginning of your own path towards creating positive change in your community and beyond.